I recently shared a video on how to do a no spend year, so I thought it would only be appropriate to do a how to budget video so that we can talk through the real basics of budgeting. And it's not going to be complicated. We don't need to use a computer, we can just use a piece of paper. We can write out everything that we know and work out exactly how much is going out and what is left over, because without that basics, and there are some little tips and tricks to include in there that will really help you to keep a whole control of your budget. First of all, you're going to need some paper and a pen or pencil. And all I've done to start with is written out the basics. So rent, gas and electric, water, council tax, TV subscriptions, TV license, car insurance, phone, mobile, food, petrol and union fees, because they're all my fixed expenses. Anything else is kind of excess and on top. So I do pay for contact lenses, but that's every 3 months. So I just kind of factor it into the month that it's relevant for, but I'm not due to do that for another couple of months. So I've not included that. But what you could do if you were trying to budget for that, you could split that price between the months that it covers. So that would be a way of working out. So your variables are things like clothing, eating out, activities, and memberships or additional subscriptions. So those are things to watch out for. So basically, I've written out all my costs, and for living in the UK in a 2-bed house, my costs are currently 1,769 roughly. And when I work out the food budget, I work out per week how much my maximum is. So I give myself roughly around £70 a week for food, and I work out how many weekends fall in that bracket because I shop on a weekend, and some weeks will have 5 weekends. There are 4 of those months which have 5 weekends. So that's something to watch out for. So if it's one of those months, I do budget a bigger budget for food. So be wary of that, because I think that's an easy way where you can slip up and miss out on certain amounts because you forget that there are more weekends than we think there are. So for this one, I've said that it's a standard 4 weekend month. So I've only allocated 280 for that. My 1,769 is my total fixed amount that comes out that I know I have to pay for. Anything else I count as variables. So any clothing is a variable. We've got what we need as we need it. We do have to buy it as we do. So that's an excess spend. That's like a variable. That is something that is not needed. It's like an extra, isn't it? Apart from if it's for my son, because obviously he's growing. So now you need to work out how much you've got coming in. So I think roughly I have just over 2.5 coming in. So I need to work out what's left and how I'm going to use that, because sometimes it's not feasible to say that I'm not doing anything. And obviously you need to budget how much you're going to spend on debt, how much you're going to put towards debt, or how much you're putting towards savings. I have between about 600 and 700 left over in a month. So I need to plan for everything with that. So obviously, first of all, I need to plan sinking funds. So I'm going to look at a sinking fund for birthdays and like gifts for like Christmas. So I'll plan for like the next year. And I also want a sinking fund for my car. And you kind of want to work out what is reasonable for the year. So for gifts, and if I'm including Christmas as well, then it makes it higher. But if I'm just thinking about birthdays, I might say like, how many people would I roughly buy for and how much would I want to spend on them? Obviously, I kind of take out what I would buy for my son because that's a different amount. For everybody else, that would be like between £10 and £20 for a person. And I don't buy for lots of people. I only buy for a few key people. So realistically, I wouldn't need lots. Maybe 100, 150 is probably about reasonable as a sinking fund. So that's something I need to save up. For my car, I'm quite aware that I've got some things I need to pay for, like I think my exhaust needs doing, and I've got an MOT coming up. So I know that I need to factor in potentially new tyres, new light bulbs, and an exhaust. So I might look at maybe £400 for a sinking fund. So I might look at about 400 for a sinking fund for the car. So altogether that's 550. So what would be a sensible option is to kind of rack that up ready ahead of the year because I know that I'm going to need that money. So I'm going to need that £400 in the next 2 months. So that's probably the first bit I will save, and then I'll start saving for the birthdays. So already I've got 550 to put into sinking funds. If you're enjoying this video so far, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and press like and subscribe, and press the bell for notifications so you know when I upload my next video. I also need to factor that I'm going to do self-care stuff, like I sometimes get a massage or get my brows done or my eyelashes done. So there are self-care things that I need to factor in. They are obviously luxuries, but they are something that I prioritise for me, and that's something that needs to be in the budget. So realistically, I need to factor that in on the months that it applies to. So there will be some months where there's the odd £40 or so going out for something like that. So maybe if I plan for £50 a month, if I write a list of variables, and I'm going to plan £50 a month for self-care, which seems like a lot, but I think that's been really vital and important for me to be able to do some of those things. I also need to factor in potentially some money for clothing, but not for me. My rule for my no spend year is not to spend money for me, but it might be that I factor in a £100 spend for clothes at some point in the year for my son. I think once you've got those variables in and made them appear like a fixed cost, and then they go to a separate account, that can help with budgeting what is left. So now that I know my £150 or my £50 variable, the £100 is for the whole year. If I say £10 a week towards clothing, £10 a month, sorry, towards clothing, that kind of gives 120 in a year. So maybe that's the variable that I do. So now my total goes up to 1,829. So now that I can take off what I have as my income and see what's left over, that's when I decide what's going into what pot. So if you've got debt, I highly recommend you prioritise the debt paying off and building up a sinking fund. Once you've done both of those, then you want to move on to your savings. So hopefully that gives you an idea of how I put together my budget, and it's really simple and straightforward. There's nothing complicated about it, but I will check every month that it's the same amount coming out, and I will just keep an eye on those. So once a month, I'll just check through that I've got the right amount of money coming in and the right money going out. So there's not any surprises. So it's worth going through your bank account and just checking if there's any random memberships or subscriptions that you don't remember signing up to, and cancelling anything that you need to, so that you have got full control of what is coming out when. And my best hack is to have all the bills come out by the first couple of days of the month. So I get paid on the 25th and all my bills come out by the 2nd. So I've only got like a short window where they come out, but it just means that I don't have to then think about my bills for the rest of the month, other than the petrol and the food. They're the only ones that are continuing through the month. So everything else is already paid for. So I've got full control of what is left, which in a mindset way does make it easier to gain control and to oversee what's happening. And if you're paying off debt or you're trying to save, you want to put that money straight into a savings account. Don't let it sit there in your account, because that's when it's tempting to buy something. You just think, oh, it's only a couple of quid, I'll just buy it, it's fine, there's money there. But it soon whittles away. So what you want to do is have it automated so that it goes straight into your debt payments or straight into your savings account, so that you're not tempted to spend. Don't forget to unsubscribe or unfollow from any tempting websites that send you newsletters that might encourage you to spend. Unfollow some creators if they're ones that are encouraging you to spend too much, or you're getting too kind of caught up in the FOMO, the fear of missing out. So, because that can be distracting. So it will help you to focus in. If you've got a budgeting tip, leave a comment below and share your tip so that we can all have a go at being in control of our money. And I shall be back for more videos soon. Take care. Bye.